Hello YouTube, it's your boy Nathan coming to you to do another recap video. Today we are talking 90 Day Fiancé Season 12 Episode 2, Trusting the Process. So we're just going to get on into it. Before we start, y'all, I'm still battling depression, y'all. And it took a lot of strength for me to even come out and do this tonight. I was going to wait till tomorrow or Tuesday to do it, but I love and respect my subscribers so much, and I promise to get this recap out to you guys. But y'all help me out here because I'm struggling. I'm struggling so bad. But sticking to the task at hand and focusing on these recaps. So 90 Days, Season 12, Episode 2. The first couple I want to talk, we met a new couple in this episode, Debbie and Mito. So we met Debbie. She is like 55 years old and she works in insurance in New Orleans and everything. I will admit something, and don't come at me in the comments. Compared to Lisa from last season from B90, this Debbie lady, she is older, but she actually, in my opinion, looks a lot better than Lisa. I don't know. I don't know why. I just thought of that comparison a little bit, but I think this Debbie lady looks a lot better, and she's older. So I'm just saying, that's just my little observation. But anyway, so yeah, like I said, this Debbie lady, she works in insurance. 6 years ago, she went to Egypt, and she fell in love with this guy named Mito. Mito is I guess he's 41 years old, and he is apparently a celebrity in Egypt. I guess he's a movie star. He has like a big following. He has like thousands of followers and stuff and everything. He does movies, television over in Egypt and whatever. They fell in love, got engaged, and all that nonsense. Here's the kicker with this storyline. The producers asked Debbie that have you seen any of Mito's films or clips or anything? And she said no. She said that he says that he will show her when they get in person. She asked him multiple times for some reels and stuff and everything, and she said that he just wants to keep that all business and all private and everything. I guess he posts a lot on social media, on his social media account, just all business stuff and everything. And he be taking pictures with a lot of women as well and everything too. And that'd be irritating Debbie and stuff. Well, we also seen Debbie talk to her daughter and everything. And when Debbie was talking to her daughter, she had mentioned that when Mito comes here to America, he wants her to move to New Orleans, from New Orleans to either New York or to Hollywood. So we got one of this. we got one of these already. We got somebody who's just trying to get to America to try to build their lifestyle. She claiming that he's really famous in Egypt and everything. I never heard of him. Now I know he lives in Egypt, but I never heard of him. And the fact that he has not sent her a single clip. My question is, has she even looked him up? Did she even look up Mito and find anything on YouTube or anything about what he does and stuff and everything? Probably not, because I find that kind of ironic and kind of weird that she has never seen any of these clips and he wants to keep that private. Why does he want to keep that private? I don't know. So her daughter is skeptic about that, wanting to move to either New York or Hollywood. So later, we seen Debbie meet up with her little girlfriends and stuff to talk about Mito's arrival and stuff. And she had mentioned since he's from Egypt, so you know what that means. He's a Muslim man. So, and with Muslim men, they have like really strict rules and stuff and everything. She mentioned to her girlfriends that he's a 41-year-old virgin. Her girlfriends were just like, what? And one of the girlfriends was like, I'm a SLUT, so this is just weird to me and everything. I can't believe they even made a movie about the 40-year-old virgin and stuff and everything. And then apparently they talked about a a rough moment that they had before. Apparently, Debbie and Mito broke up a few times in the mix because Mito was taking a lot of pictures with this other Egyptian woman that he was working with, who was also another celebrity over there and stuff and everything. And she was just like, she's like, I'm not stupid. There's got to be something going on and everything. And I guess they argued about it and everything. And stuff and everything, but she says she's not stupid and stuff, and I don't blame her one bit. So when Debbie was talking about it, she was just like, I don't even want to talk about this bitch and everything. So yeah. So after that, we seen Debbie back in her house. She has a dog, and she said, like, I guess in the Muslim community they don't really like have dogs in their house and stuff and everything. And Debbie's dog sleeps with her every night. And Mita does not, when he comes to America, does not want the dog sleeping with her and stuff with them and everything. I guess when he comes to America, he will be sleeping in the same bed, but they got to try to get the full 90 days without having sex and stuff. So we seen Debbie back in her apartment, her house or whatever, and she's crying. And so why is she crying? Well, she hadn't heard from Mito for days recently, and she said he's done this before. But I guess Mito has, his dad is actually not doing well health wise and everything, and so she finally gets a hold of Mito, and I guess like Mito wants an extension on when he could come. He was supposed to come within a couple days, but now he wants like a 10 to 15 day extension to wait for the doctors to come to check on his dad or something like that and everything. So Debbie's crying. She's thinking that Mita's getting cold feet and everything. Mita's frustrated. He's like, baby, I told you. He kind of got an attitude with her. He's like, baby, I told you. I want like 10 to 15 days. Can you check to see if you can switch my ticket to that time? She's like, I don't know what I can do, but I'll try. He's like, do that. And that was that. So, wow. So yeah, this is gonna be an interesting storyline. Like normally I don't pull what are his intentions on coming here to America card, but what are his intentions of coming to America, coming here to want to be a movie star and everything. And the fact that I don't know, something just tells me he's already lying. And I'm going to look him up. I'll come back next week. I didn't get a chance to look him up. Actually, you know what? Screw that. I'm going to look him up right now. Let's see if Mito is a Egyptian star or whatever. Okay, let's see. Mito, 90 Day Fiancé, blah, 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 blah. Perfection. Mito works as an actor and an English and Japanese tour guide in Cairo. There's skepticism. Okay. Are there any clips of Mito acting in Egypt? Yes, the finding direct full clips online can be tricky. Mohammed Mito Fayed does have a legitimate Egyptian acting resume. Okay. Okay, it looks like he was in the movie called The Choice in 2020. Or a TV show called The Choice. I'm looking at his cast. I'm looking at the cast of this. And he was also in a movie called Abu Omar al-Mazri in 2018. Well, I guess this is another TV show, and it was only on for one season. What's his name? Muhammad Salam. Okay, this is what it says, but I really can't see him because there's a lot of this cast on these shows have basically the same name, and they don't have the picture, so I can't tell which one is which. So we're gonna have to do. I'll do more research next week to find out more what he does in Egypt and stuff. So yeah, but anyway, that was Debbie and Mito. I'm sorry about that, guys. The next couple I want to talk is Annabelle and Shay. Shay and Annabelle. So last week when we met Shay, we had a wild ride last week. Last week was crazy. I found out some really disturbing and sad news over the week about Shay's story. Remember last week when we first met Shay at that little carnival or whatever, he was with one of his little girlfriends. What was her? Was her name Stephanie? I think her name was. Hold on, let me see. I'm looking it up. Sorry, this is a lot of stuff that I have to look up in today's episode. In today's episode. Okay. Yeah, her name was Stephanie. Okay. Yeah, last week when we first met Shay, and he was at that event. He was talking to this girl named Stephanie, um, and she seemed like the voice of reason to him and everything. I found out this week, tragically, Stephanie actually has passed away. And I guess, and she was young, she was only in her late 20s. And I guess like she was actually killed by her ex-husband and stuff and everything back in December of 2025. So God rest her soul. That's awful and everything. I wonder if we're gonna see her because obviously this was all this was filmed before that and stuff. So I wonder if we're gonna see her a couple more times before they show the in memory of her and everything. But I found out this week, and that's just so sad. So, and then last week we had the issue with the ex-wife, and I found out both the ex-wife Nicole and Shay have criminal backgrounds. They've been arrested before and stuff and everything. I've been to jail before and stuff. So a little disturbing to hear that. But anyway, this episode, Shay is finally, Annabelle from the Philippines is finally coming to America. And he's going to the airport. They're going to get in like a little bed and breakfast after she arrives and everything. He said he's so worried about what Nicole's going to say to her eventually and stuff. He don't see it as cheating and stuff, but she's going to have a different story. But he just wants to enjoy his first couple of nights with Annabelle. So he goes to the airport. He picks up Annabelle. They have their little airport moment. She's here in America and stuff. And Annabelle and Shay, they go to this like bed and breakfast, but it was formerly known as a Methodist church and stuff, and they changed it into like some kind of like bed and breakfast suite or whatever. So they get checked into this place, and it has a hot tub in the room and stuff and everything. Now, and I forgot to mention this last week. Shay mentioned when he first met Annabelle, like she really likes to really wash him, and she one time like started washing him, and then got naked and got in the shower with him and started washing him and stuff and everything, like around the first time they met and stuff. And so they decide to reenact that scene in this episode. They check into their little bed and breakfast or whatever, or this church hotel or whatever, and they get into the hot tub, and Annabelle takes off Shay's clothes and helps him into the tub and stuff and everything, and she just starts scrubbing him. Annabelle is saying, "Oh, I like to scrub everywhere: his face, his armpits, his his private area, all under and everything." And she was scrubbing him. She really was. Um, this dude, he's like this dude make this dude. I'm surprised is actually he's actually bigger than Big Ed and stuff, and he's younger than Ed. So it just reminded me when she was scrubbing him. It just reminded me a little bit of some scenes that we've seen with Big Ed in the past. But so after she starts scrubbing him and everything, they decided to finally get in bed and stuff and everything, and they just want to have a little nice little intimate night before chaos erupts in the next episodes and stuff and everything. So they go to bed, they get their groove on, and that was basically that and stuff. So yeah, nice little bath scene. I think that was a little bit too much, but hey, if that's how y'all do things, that's how y'all do things. So yeah, that was Annabelle and Shay. The next couple I want to talk is Katie and Joshua. Oh my goodness. So Katie and Joshua, so same thing. Now when we met Katie last week, we all know her story. She loves making out with people. Josh arrives to the United States in last week's episode. They go into a hotel. As they were driving to the hotel, she's singing the Star Spangled Banner to him and everything. And Katie likes to really, really blame her condition on her OCD. She has OCD, but in my opinion, as I was watching Katie in this episode, I didn't see much OCD. Correct me if I'm wrong, and this is just my observation. I'm not making fun of it. I'm not like trying to be rude or ignorant when I see this observation. But part of me actually, from what I can tell, thinks that Katie may have a little bit of Tourette syndrome. I don't know. I just noticed that she was ticking a lot and everything. I mean, that's just my observation. And, if anybody else noticed that, let me know and stuff. Again, it's not me being rude. It was just my observation. But she likes to blame everything on OCD and stuff and everything. So anyway, Katie and Joshua, they get into the hotel that they're staying at. They're just talking just about how this is going to be, is Katie going to be like going to start chilling out basically about this making out thing and everything. And they talked about intimacy and stuff. Well, Joshua, he feels like he said last week he's not into PDA that much and stuff, but and he's a little shy and Katie's a little out there. So they decided to go to bed. They were not intimate that night because he was stinking, he was tired and whatever. But the following morning, they wake up and they were intimate, and Katie was really happy about that, and Joshua caved in. So after their little morning rendezvous, they can go for a walk around the town and stuff and everything. And she shows them around town, and then they just started talking about like the past and everything, on how many people that Katie has hooked up with and making out with, and is he cool with it. Now, the producers asked, have you made out with any of your friends, like, since you were dating Joshua? And she's like, yes. And he basically knows most of it and stuff and everything. But the question is that how much more and longer will Josh be really forgiven? Joshua is not a jealous type and is not all that insecure, which is great. But Katie can't be taken that for granted a lot. And so, like, they had a conversation about, there's limitations. Don't think that I'm limitless to what you can do and everything. Like, I do have my limits. So she says she's trying. She says she don't want to make out with people like all the time and everything, and wants to not do it as much. I'm like, you don't need to be doing it at all. You only need to be doing it with your boyfriend, your fiance that you're about to marry and stuff. She says she wants to cut down. I'm like, yeah, only cut down to one person, to the person you're with. So they go to a bar in a club, and she meets up with her friends, and all the friends that she that we seen, she has hooked up with them. She's even been intimate with a couple of them. And Joshua knows about it, and they went through the whole list of friends, and even some girls that says, yes, me and Katie made out and everything. One of her little girlfriends said that I even had to stop her because she was about to put her tongue in me. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Katie got some problems. And so one of the ex-boyfriends and Josh had a conversation, and just on how, just basically how crazy Katie is and everything. And after their conversation, Katie and Josh had a conversation, and she's like, "What are you guys talking about?" And he's like, just talking about how you are with them, and she was like, "Well, I was intimate with a couple of them." He's like, "Yeah, I know," but he was like, "Are you with me now?" And she's like, "Yes," and everything. So it's all good as long as you're with me now. And then they start making out basically. So I like Joshua. Like, he's very lenient, but she is going to really push his buttons a lot throughout the season, and it's not going to be fair to him. So I just hope that Katie understands what she's doing and needs to really think about her partner, in my opinion. So yeah, so that was Katie and Joshua. The next couple I want to talk is Marissa and Edward. Now we still haven't seen Edward yet, but we seen Marissa in this episode. She talked, it was really brief. She talked about, her the transition from living in Bluebell, Pennsylvania to New York. She says she's not too much of a fan of the New York lifestyle, and she likes to just go back home to Pennsylvania and stuff and everything. As we know, she works at that bridal shop, in the same bridal place that is on the other TLC show called Say Yes to the Dress. This episode, we see Marissa go back to her house, and we meet her two sons, and their sons are 10 and 11. One is big in athletics, and one is really artsy and stuff. We've seen her play a little pickup basketball game, a game of pig, with her sons and everything, and then they come in and have a conversation about Edward. She explained to the boys about, the boys that asked her, like, so how's Edward gonna get money here? And she was like, good question. So what we make here in America in a week, they make over there where he's from in a month, which is true and everything. The boys, the oldest son was just like, for a while, I didn't even know who Edward even was. And until last year and stuff. I met him, but I've only known him for a year, and I just don't want him to come in and replace Daddy. And Marissa was like, Daddy will always be your daddy. Nobody's ever going to replace that. This is just going to be another adult coming in. He's going to play with you guys and everything, and this, and that. So Marissa still has like some optimism because the ex-husband Michael is going to be in the picture, and I guess judging by the previews of next week, we're going to meet the ex-husband, and he's going to have a lot of opinions about this and everything. So she's worried about that and how it's going to affect the boys and stuff and everything. I just hope the ex-husband don't come in and just I don't want her dating him, just be one of them crazy exes. I mean, not ex-boyfriend, ex-husband and stuff, just and wanting her back and stuff and everything. Why are you dating this guy? Or why you about to marry this guy? And he's going to live here with my boys? Oh, heck no. So I just hope there's going to be some kind of understanding, but I highly doubt that. So, but yeah, that was Marissa. And the last couple I want to talk is freaking Asia and Maxwell. So once again, we didn't see Maxwell. So remember what happened last week when we met Asia, Miss Pentecostal herself and everything. Maxwell had gone into the visa interview with his best friend, and they got denied because they thought it was fraud. So now Asia, we seen her talk to her mother and everything, trying to get. She says that she's really upset about this and needs to go talk to an immigration lawyer to see what their options are. We got to see Asia we got to meet her godbrother. And her godbrother went with her to the immigration's office. The godbrother was just like, look, you have a big list of guys. There are Nigerian guys here in America. She's like, yeah, but they're nothing like Maxwell and everything. And she was just like, this is a whole he was like, this is a whole dangerous situation. And you have a list on what you like in people and everything. So the producers asked her, what is this list? she starts naming this big list of athletic, God-fearing, wealthy, lovable, this, and that, and everything. It was a big, big list and everything. Here's my opinion on that, what people, when they have a list. Okay, so now this may sound a little bit controversial, and I don't mean to offend nobody, but a lot of, girls, like someone like Asia, who's really dominant and stuff, and really wants their man to be a certain type of way and everything. It's fine to have your preference of what you want in a man, and you want the success out of a man. I'm all for that. But here's the thing: some people, when they have that preference like that and have a list like that, they overdo it, and they make it, when you do that, it makes it sound like you're, when somebody else is not everything that's on that list or whatever, that they're less than and stuff. And like, oh, if my man, some people are like, if my man is not this, and that, and I don't want him. Like, I want my man to be this, and that. If you ain't this, and that, and everything. And and I get it to an extent, but we can't make it to the point where we're putting people down and everything. Just because another guy is not has everything on your list, he could still be the same person that you're looking for and stuff. We've seen it in shows over the years. Like, I've seen it on Married at First Sight. I've seen it on other shows that, a lot of the women are really picky on their man, which is fine. And I'm not saying men aren't either. Men just don't have like it to the extreme, but we have our standards too. And when it comes to standards in a relationship on how our men and women need to be treated, I mean, me personally, everything should be equal. But men have their preferences too, and it doesn't mean, oh, I need, big, like, physical features. As a man, I want my woman to be successful, hardworking, loving, understanding, and everything. I'm not one of those men who, oh, I want my woman to cook and clean for me and this, and that. No, no, I want the same things that women want in a man. Like, I want my woman to be successful, driven, ambitious, and all that too. We have our standards too, but it can't. But even if they're not, as long as they treat me well and we can all work together on, not everything's going to be perfect, but if we can all work together, then it can be perfect. But you got to put in the work, and just because somebody doesn't have the complete full list doesn't make them less than. So when Asia named that list, it just brought me to a flashback on other people in the past I've seen on TV and in my personal life. Don't put down people who are not exactly every single little thing that you are, because then, I'm sorry, you're gonna end up being single for a long time and everything. So, and that's just not fair. So anyway, after that, they Asia and the God brother went to the attorney's office, the immigration's office, and they asked them, like, okay, so she explained the situation, what happened with Maxwell, and what do we do? And basically, the options are just what we all said. And since it's denied, she asked him, can he appeal this? Is there an appeal process? He's like, nope. So the options are, you can either reapply for the K-1 visa, and it could take a year and a half, or you can go to Nigeria and get a spousal visa. Now, she's upset about that because regardless, it's going to take a year or two and everything. So like I said last week, again, I know these scenes were filmed in 2025, but in early 2026, again, not to sound political, but Nigeria was part of this little travel ban with spousal visas. So there were 75 countries that were affected by like some kind of tourism visa earlier this year. There was a travel ban. I don't know if it's been lifted or not, but we all know, again, not to sound political, we have like really strict immigration rules right now in play. So, and he's from Nigeria. Good luck. Just saying, Asia, good luck. And I still think it was stupid for him and the best friend to go in there interview at the same time and take the pictures together. You already know Nigeria, especially with Nigeria. Like, come on now. So, good luck, Asia. Good luck. Anyway, guys, but that was basically it, guys. We did not see the redneck girl Mallory and Rashid in this episode. We still got one more couple to meet. We still got to meet Thomas and Paul. I think we're going to meet them next week. So, yeah. Anyway, guys, that is the end of my review. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thank you guys so much for your continued support. I'm still struggling. I'm going to try to do my single life review tomorrow. I'll be back tomorrow, Tuesday, to recap the tell-all for the single life. So, and that's supposed to be pretty good, I hear. So be on the lookout for that. All right, guys, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see y'all again soon. Love you guys. Bye.